Golden hour over the red heart of Australia. From 1,000 feet up, the land runs to the horizon. Salt pans like mirrors, dry river veins, and an endless quilt of ochre. This is where our story begins. A quiet flight across the Outback, and a mystery that has never let go. The lost pilot of the desert. Late 1970s, a routine solo hop between remote cattle stations, nothing unusual on the mustering calendar. The route, across the Channel Country into the Simpson, over braided floodplains, gibber plains, and dune fields. Country bush pilots know by compass, creek line, and cloud shadow. Weather was building. Dust haze hung low, storm cells stacked on the horizon, and the wind carried that dry, metallic taste that says the sky's about to turn. Our pilot was no amateur. Steady hands, careful logs, and radio calls you could set your watch by. In the bush, reliability isn't a virtue, it's survival. Before wheels up, fuel checked, oil good, weight balanced. Sectional maps folded to the leg, waypoints penciled, creek bend, station tank, windmill. Then the call to confirm departure. Taxi on a dirt strip, prop biting dust. A brief run-up, gauges steady, then throttle forward, tail up, and the country drops away beneath the wings. Level at a safe cruise, the radio crackled with routine traffic. Positions, altitudes, estimated times. Outback airwork in its ordinary rhythm. Below, gibber planes shimmered with heat. Dust devils stitching brown threads across the flats, salt pans gleaming like spilled mercury. Then the first bump, then another, turbulence rolling off the anvils ahead. Cloud tops grew, the air thickened, and the horizon took on that bruised electric hue. Professional as ever, the pilot called a minor deviation to skirt weather and logged a clear position fix. Calm voice, clipped, precise. Minutes later, the signal thinned. Static rose on the band, the horizon blurred behind a veil of dust. At approximately 12:30, the headset carried a strained fragment, part routine, part warning, as the line began to fray. Tracking 210, dust ahead, visibility. The words cut, as if swallowed by the weather. Controllers and station radios called back, no reply. Only the thin hiss and pop of distance on the set. By the hour, he was overdue. The receiving station checked the strip, windsock stiff, dust lifting, no aircraft on final. And somewhere over the desert, a light single-engine bush plane flew into gathering weather, its last clear words already fading to static. The search would begin at first light. Just after the expected arrival time passes with no sign of the aircraft, the alarm is raised. Pastoral station owners call in on HF radio, the message relayed to the Royal Flying Doctor Service Base and the nearest police post. Phones light up, flight plans are pulled, and a rough last known position is sketched on creased aeronautical charts. Within hours, a coordinated search is forming. RFDS crews, police, emergency services, and volunteer spotter pilots moving fast against the Outback's vastness and the clock. At a makeshift incident room, trestle tables, rulers, and grease pencil grids, sector maps are taped edge to edge. Local pilots brief beside their Cessnas and Barons. Police coordinate call signs and altitudes. RFDS dispatch tracks every liftoff and expected return. The plan: carve the emptiness into boxes that people and machines can actually search. They start with the last known position. Radio fixes, a faint sighting, the route filed on the flight plan, then draw fuel range arcs to bound the possible area. Drift and wind calculations shift those arcs leeward. Time since last contact stretches them outward. A probability map emerges, where the aircraft could be if it kept flying, if it turned, if it landed short. From the air, search pilots fly creeping line and expanding square patterns, wings rocking low over red dunes and clay pans. Spotters scan the ground for anything out of place, a glint, a shadow, an unnatural line through spin effects. When the grid brings them to creek lines, they drop lower, contour flying along coolabahs and floodouts, tracing faint wheel ruts to their vanishing point. On the ground, 4x4 teams follow fence lines and station tracks, fanning out toward landmarks that barely exist. Experienced bushmen and aboriginal trackers read the country at their feet. Scuffs on a clay pan, a crushed tussock, a recent tire bite in sand. Signs that speak softly if you know how to listen. Calculators and notepads work as hard as engines. Forecasters push updated winds aloft. Planners revise endurance estimates and shift search boxes accordingly. Binoculars rest beside mugs of dust-brown tea as radios crackle with position reports, every call logged onto the growing mosaic of map squares. The country fights back. Heat haze boils the horizon. Dust lifts in veils. Mirage turns creek beds into silver ribbons that vanish on approach. From above, shadows play tricks. From below, landmarks repeat in cruel patterns. False leads cost fuel and daylight. Technique adapts to terrain. Along dune lines, aircraft quarter the ridges. Over gibber, spotters look for fresh scrape marks. Down dry channels, they fly the bends as if following a thread. Ground crews pace wheel ruts where motors once dug in, marking bearings for the next overflight. Logistics become their own battle. Drums are staged for remote refueling. Helicopters sip from hand-pumped fuel beside a dirt strip. Maintenance teams keep engines cool in unforgiving heat. Airspace is deconflicted by altitude and timing, so grids can turn without crossing blades or wings. Crews rotate to keep eyes sharp. RFDS aircraft spin up as fresh pilots brief. Volunteers trade binoculars and grid sheets. Paramedics check kits as the sun leans west. Twilight camps glow, swags, boiling billies, a circle of maps under headlamps, ready to launch at first light. Reports trickle in, an oil sheen on a clay pan, a flash of white near a dune, tracks that end in spin effects. Each lead is flown, walked, and crossed off. The radio net stays calm and methodical. The map grows dense with pencil marks and pinned notes. With no confirmed sighting, search parameters widen, new sectors added beyond the fuel arcs, contingency routes traced toward distant roadhouses and strips. Probability fades with distance, but the grid keeps marching across the map. Out here, distances are a character of their own. Fuel runs dictate timing. Weather windows slam shut without warning. Landmarks are scarce and stubbornly similar. In homesteads and towns, people listen for updates, hoping the next call is the one. More aircraft join, more eyes scan. Media interest swells, but inside the operation, the cadence stays disciplined. Brief, fly, report, revise, each loop tightening the plan even as the search box grows. Safety briefs are relentless. Density altitude, low-level turns, fatigue traps. Forecasters call shifting winds. Planners re-weight the sectors. Crews switch roles to keep their judgment clear. Hope stays present, but it now shares the table with mathematics. Days pass. The grids have been flown, the fence lines walked, the creek bends traced in both directions. Under a river of stars, the camp quiets. Maps are folded and retaped for morning. Morale is tested, resolve holds, and still no confirmed sighting. Just after midday, the radio log shows a routine position report. Calm, on schedule. Minutes later, a terse weather update. Winds veering and strengthening. Visibility forecast to drop fast. On the horizon, witnesses describe a wall of dust advancing. Haboob-like, low and rolling, swallowing contrast and sky. Forecast models warned of a rapid wind shift and blowing dust. In that soup, basic instruments can seem unreliable, compass wavering with turbulence, altimeter twitching in pressure bumps, while the outside world fades to brown. In degrading visibility, a small misstep compounds, a late turn, a wrong heading, or an imprecise fuel plan. Diagrams of fuel arcs show how a modest detour, flown into headwinds and dust, can erase reserves faster than expected. Then the human factors. In dust or cloud, the inner ear lies. Spatial disorientation tilts the world sideways. Get-there-itis nudges a pilot to press on. VFR into IMC, or VFR into dust, removes the horizon, and workload spikes at the worst possible moment. Add fatigue, heat, and task saturation, checking headings, fuel, and weather, while the view outside vanishes. Even experienced crews can be pulled into a narrowing tunnel of options. The search was extensive, fixed wing and rotary assets fanning out over grid squares. Yet this landscape hides things well. Spinifex plains, dune corridors, and dry creek beds break up outlines and swallow color against the earth. With no wreckage immediately found, myths grew. Smuggling, no supporting documents, no credible witnesses, and no correlating radio or radar trace. Covert operations? Again, zero documentary trail, no corroborated movements, and nothing in the radio log to suggest a clandestine rendezvous. What we do have: a routine position report, an urgent weather note, a forecast wind shift, a dust front observed, and challenging navigation near deteriorating visibility. Those points align with known accident patterns. This is the divide between myth and fact. Dramatic stories appeared after the disappearance. The documented record points elsewhere, toward weather and human limits meeting at the same time. The most plausible chain: wind shift and dust reduce visibility. VFR into IMC-like conditions. Disorientation and workload rise. Navigation or fuel margins erode and options collapse. High office and public pressure make a gripping backdrop, but the evidence and patterns match a weather plus human factors event, not a plot. Without wreckage or remains, absolute certainty is impossible. Dust and dunes move, the land keeps its secrets. Weighing logs, weather, and human factors against unsupported stories, the balance points to a sober conclusion. Weather plus human factors is the most likely cause. The lesson is enduring: respect fast-changing weather, define hard turnback points, and avoid pressing VFR into dust or cloud. Facts, not fantasies, honor those lost, and help others return home. First, the legacy: safer flying in remote Australia. Mandatory flight plans on remote routes became standard, lodged, updated, and closed so someone is counting you home. Emergency beacons, ELTs and PLBs, are carried, tested, and registered, cutting search times dramatically. Radios matter: disciplined HF and VHF calls, position reports, and scheduled skeds. Preparation on the ground. Survival kits grew smarter: water, shade, signaling, first aid, fire, and comms. Water discipline became doctrine. Pilots trained for desert navigation and off-airport landings. Communities remember: a cairn near a remote strip, a plaque in a country aero club, stories retold with care. Each year, safety briefings renew hard-won lessons. Checklists, rehearsals, and personal minimums, quiet habits that save lives. Respect for vast distances and thin margins. Because in the Outback, beauty walks with indifference. We plan, we equip, we train, and we fly with humility.